Okay, guys. Hello, everybody. I hope I hope the audio is fine. We are here for our live code along activity. I'm going to start sharing my screen. I hope you guys can see everything here. That's okay. So I already have it open. I have our week 5 instructions for our code along, and I'm going to get started on it. So the first step is to create the folder and the files. Create a new HTML page in the week 5 named quiz.html. So week 5, new file, quiz.html. Create a new CSS file named quiz.css in the styles folder. Remember, we're working within inside the week 5, so we need to be sure to create it right here. Okay, I have both open there. HTML, in quiz HTML, build a valid HTML form that is an online quiz about HTML and CSS with at least 4 questions about HTML and or CSS. So we're going to need our HTML getting started here. Going to call it, let's see if we have a specific title. Your HTML document should be valid and contain an H1 heading that is appropriate for the content. So let's use this title here, HTML and CSS quiz. How do you feel about that? HTML and CSS quiz. Guys, you can always bring here the meta for author, for content. You can always use those guys here to practice. Remember, this is supposed to be a quick code along. That's why I'm not putting all the details that you could put, but please practice, use as much as you can. Okay, within the body, I'm going to have to create a header here, also main, and also footer. It's always good to have those little guys there. I'm going to have the main, the H1 here in the header, in the footer, um, maybe in the header. Yeah, I'm going to put that in the header, just to have at least one information there. I'm going to repeat our HTML and CSS quiz right there. I think we have a template here just as a reference. Okay, and in the footer, I'm going just to say, uh, let's see if we have a suggestion of the footer. No suggestion there. This is a quiz for study purpose. Purpose. All right. I think we could already click here and preview it. We open with five with live fiver. I think that's the name, right? I always forget the name. Five server. Five server. That's it. So thus far, I only have the header and the the footer. We could start working uh, with its layout, but let's make sure we include everything that it's required. So step 3, each form element, input, text area, select should be coupled with an associated label element. Remember that we need at least 4 questions. Okay, I'll work with that. Remember there are 2 ways to associate labels with form elements. Either way is appropriate, but stick with one method for consistency. So here in our form, in our main, let's start our form. In the form, we're going to get back there. in the form, we're going to have a label. Uh, let's, I think we have some information here. Yeah, we have the question one there. uh, just a second, guys. Quick break here. How do I pause the recording? Pause. Sorry, guys, for the break. Let's go back. So where have had we stopped? Okay, we're going to start creating the form. Let me before creating them, I want to see if they have instructions. Yeah, I figured. We need a text, traditional text input. We need at least a text area. Fill in the blank question, short answer question, and what does okay a select and a number input element. Okay, so we have instructions on the types of questions we want to use. This is important to understand when we are creating here. So the first one is going to be a input, and we have a definition of the type of input we want. We want a text, and we want to make sure we are going to use for these uh, three little guys here the same name. So it's going to be we question one. This is the instruction right here. Okay. Also, let's grab another one. It's already suggestion question two. That's the co-pilot here. Let me snooze this little guy so we can work just ourselves. The second one is supposed to be a text area. Okay. If you guys remember, we practiced that text area right here in the poll form. Look at that. Our feedback was a text area, just like the one we're going to be using right here. You can always reference those things. And our text area. And notice that here we already have a suggestion of text area with the columns uh, and rows, so you can define how many columns you want and how many rows. I want it 30, maybe 5, not too large. And also these little guys here. Oh, remember I'm using here the shortcut. So I'm selecting these empty little guys here, Control D, Control D. Now I have the three selected, and this way I can change the information within the three parts at the same time. Okay, text area. Then we're going to have a select. Let's create another label. We're going to have a select. I think we also use a select here, right? Just like that with some options there. And this select is going to have the name of question three. So let's do the same here, Control D, question three right there. And the last one is a type number. So we're going to say label again, also input, but this time we want it as a number. Same thing as before, select these little guys here, and this is question 4. Okay, we have our 4 elements. Let's come back here. Each form element, input, text area select, should be coupled with an associate label element. We did that label for the text, label for the text area, label for our select, and label for our input. Remember that this information, this 4 here, connects with the information of the name right there. All right. Uh, okay, that's done. A text type input, fill in the blank question. So I'm using this as a reference. Assign both a name and so it doesn't tell us which question we are supposed to use. This is just an example. Style your form using your own design and content. Well, I'm going to use that exactly the same question that that we have right there. So I'm going to have it. What does the acronym CSS stand for? Stand for. Okay. Um, the second one for the text area, we want to say how are ID and class attributes selected in CSS, right? Which one of the following is a valid CSS comment? Uh, which one, no, which of the following is a valid CSS comment? All right. That remember that we're going to need to add some options here, right? Options, option right there, just like we did here. We're going to have some options. Let's make sure we have, I think, three. We don't have the examples of the options here. Let's see if they present us with some options. No, it doesn't. So we need to create, oh yeah, in here we have a very nice suggestion. If you want the first option to be labeled and non-selectable, you can add an option element with an empty value attribute and the attributes of the selected and disable like this. This is very useful, guys, if you want to make sure that the first option that is being shown here doesn't imply for an answer. For example, because we are using a quiz here, if we have three options and we don't have this disabled option, maybe if your first answer is the right answer, everybody's going to get it right if even if they don't select anything. So it's very nice to have this option. Let's do exactly like that. It's an empty value, but you declare that it's the selected one. It starts with that one, and it's disabled. And we're going to use just like it says, choose one, just like that. And then we want the comments. We could, for example, just come here to our HTML, and we could have, for example, color, something that we might use in real CSS, and we can comment like that, so we can grab that as an example, and this is going to be one of our option. The other one, we could go to the CSS itself and comment that, and then we have the other option. This is the correct one, of course. Um, and finally, maybe I'm going to use quotes. Let me just check one thing. I think because this is a comment, it might break ours. Yeah, notice that it's not, that one is not going to work. Why? Because we are adding a comment to 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 our HTML, and it's going to be presented as a comment. We can Google that. How can we show an HTML comment example in our HTML file? And we're going to be presented with the, I forgot the term we use, but we have term for that. Write comments in HTML. How do I add comments? No, that's not what I want. What is a comment? No. I forgot the term. I need that term to Google correctly. Let me find it here real quick. Just a second, guys. So this just so this video doesn't get too long. Sorry, guys. Just found here the term that I wanted to use was how can I escape? That's the term. Escape an HTML comment to present that in that comment for readers of my page. Let's see if it helps. Notice that it's using uh, AI to help with that. And this is the question. Notice we cannot actually escape the comment. So instead of escaping, I don't want to use these opening and closing brackets there. And instead of using the actual brackets, I'm going to use the HTML entity that represents them. And it's presenting them for us right here. So this is the opening bracket. This is a symbol for the opening bracket. And also we have the one for the closing. Oh, too much. Let me grab it from here. And the closing bracket, just like that. Remember, you want the whole thing right there. And now, if I come here, I will have my comment just as I want. Another thing we could add here, and if you're not familiar, you're probably not studying, but we could use JavaScript comment. And then notice that in for JavaScript, the comment is very simple. You start just with those double dashes right there. And then I can use color hash FF. So we have three options. Let's see. The first one is for HTML. So that's not the right answer there, right? Oh, I forgot the question mark. How and here also question. Awesome. Okay, so we have the HTML comment, we have the CSS comment, and the JavaScript comment, and then we have our three questions right there. Okay, let's continue. Sign both name and okay. Here, a number type input element integer answer. And the last question is, what is the bottom margin given this declaration? This declaration. And then we need to make sure that our input only receives numbers. Notice that we can even have this arrows or chevrons up and down, so we only can try numbers. If I try to type any text, it doesn't receive the input for text. And the form requires a button of type submit with the text submit quiz. So we want to close our form with a button submit with the text submit quiz, just like that. Okay, our button is right there. So we have the basic HTML, and it's time to start styling. Style the form using CSS following best practices to create a single column and uniform layout. Once again, we have a reference on the activity that we did previously. You can always use that reference, that activity as a reference. Let me just bring it here to have a pattern. The first thing that we are getting used to have is our wildcard here. to clean up all the CSS style, just like we did right there. So we're resetting resetting the margin to 0. We are resetting the padding to 0. And we are also box sizing border box just like that. Box sizing border box. And then our CSS is going to be reset. Let me just remove it here to see. For in this case, we don't have any difference, but sometimes we might have some extra paddings that we don't want to have there. Okay, just a second. All right, guys, sorry. Let's get started with our little guy. I'm going to first get the HTML, the the body. Sorry, not that. The body, and I'm going to grab a font family for us. I always like to use the Roboto. Let's see. I think I used it in this one. Yeah, Roboto, Arial, Sans Serif. Roboto is available for most browsers nowadays. Oh, it's not for this one, so let's just use Arial. Oh, notice that nothing is changing. Yeah, okay, this is a problem because I didn't import it here. Style. Uh, I'm going to link it. Um, it's what we're using. It's using quiz. So let's link rel. Sorry, link style sheet, and it's going to be styles and quiz, just like that. Now we have our font family, robot area. I'm going to keep the background very clear, background color. I want a almost, no, that's too much. Let me grab manually here. A grayish color. I don't want it dark. Okay, this is nice. Also, I want to display, I'm going to do that in main. Let's make margin 0 auto for everything so we can center things. I will do that. Oh, that's actually good. Let me do that in the header. We're going to have a margin 0 auto as well. Auto. Sorry guys, just a second. It's time of my medicine. Not working. Sorry guys. Once again, let's come back. So also I want to everything centered here. So let's go to text align center. Maybe we can do that for both. We're not seeing the footer, right? Oh, the footer is right there. For both the foot header and the footer, let's make those two centered. And also I want to give some paddings there. Just on the top, with 20, top and bottom, 20 pixels and 0 to the left and right side. So it gives some space right there. Also, we want flex. Sorry, not that. We want to display flex. Display flex. Our whole page with flex direction column. Okay. So everything is column di directed just like that. Um, what else do we want to do? We can always reference some of the things we have done here before. Uh, we could give a size to our form. This would be actually a very good idea. Uh, let's do that. Let's give a size to the next, well, to our form. Let's do a max width, mm, maybe 800 pixels. Is that too much? Maybe it's too much for our space here. Let's use 600 pixels for that. How do you guys feel about having a border so uh, we can see our paddings as well. Let's see, 2 pixels. That's nice. And some nice padding within that, 30 pixels all around. All right, 30 pixels. We also want our main to be, let's actually remove this guy from here. We don't need that. And let's remove this guy from here and make sure we just address the main. So we center the form just like that. I think I want uh, border radius so we have it a little rounded on the corners. And I'm not sure I like that. Maybe we can have it a little transparent instead. Okay, that's a little better. Uh, maybe the 2 pixels is too much. No, the 2 pixels is fine. Okay, guys, remember, you are, as it mentioned here, you're free to style it as you prefer, but you want to use best practices for that. Let me just tell here that it's just one column flex flex one right there. Uh, also, what else have we done here? We have worked on the size, the background, the color. I'm not going to work on that for this one. Also, here in the form. Sorry, guys. Oh, this could be good, right? Uh, Within our form, we could have a grid and create gaps between the different elements. How do you feel about doing that? Display grid, and we have a gap of 10 pixels, maybe? No, a little more, 20 pixels. No, 10, 10 was fine. 10 is fine. It's not too much. Then, okay, now uh, now we have the column that we wanted. Uh, I don't feel good about the height, the lack of padding within our inputs. So let's make sure that our input and also our select and also the text area as well. Text area and the select. All of them are going to have some padding. Let's try 10 pixels to see how much that is. Oh, that's fine. That's good. 10 pixels. Also, uh, I want the border radius to be 10 pixels as well. No, too much. 5 pixels. All right, that's much better. All right, and I'm going to give a little margin on the bottom of each one of them, just to separate a little more each one of the questions. So I have the question. I want a little more separation. The question, maybe the gap could be a little smaller, 7 pixels. Yeah. Okay, so maybe 5 pixels. 5 pixels, and then this is not does not need to be that much. Okay. So just to make sure that we are close enough to the question and far enough to the for from the other question so it doesn't get confusing. Also, I'm feeling that this border radius here, sorry, this border, this grayish border is more beautiful than the darker ones. So I'm going to grab the same little guy here and put it right there so we have the same kind of border. And remember, we are using here the same information. So maybe you could create a variable for that. You can always come here and create your variables in root. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now. You can do that for your own. I don't want this video to become too long. It's already 40 minutes. Oh, it's a little less than 40 minutes. I'm not feeling good about the button, so I'm going to address the button. This one I want to work the background color. Want to put it a beautiful blue. I think this blue is not. I think something around there is nice. Okay, then we need a white color for the text, right? Mm, white color. I will text transform this little guy here and make it all uppercase. Uppercase. I want some padding around that, 10 pixels. And of course, we want the border radius, 10 pixels. Oh, we're using 5 pixels, right? 5 pixels. We need to be consistent, guys, with the the border radius, or it looks a little weird. Also, we want the the button to have. We want the button to have uh, a hover effect. Hover, hover effect. When I hover, I want the color to be a little less bluish, maybe something like that. Let's see. Yeah, it's fine. Maybe too much. Maybe too much. Yeah, just so the user know what's going on. We can also work with the cursor and have it to be a pointer so it the user understands that that's actually a button right there. Okay, guys, I think we have a solid start. Please make sure you style it a little more. Maybe our form could have, for example, a background color specific for that. Um, to make it more appealing, maybe grayish one. I don't like the default ones. Maybe this is going to be too dark. Yes, this one is too dark. And notice I don't want that to have transparency. Ooh, I'm touching the wrong place right there. Sorry, here. This is the one I want to play along. Yeah, maybe a little less. Okay, so you can play with the colors right there, guys. Remember, and we have the information here in the bottom that we're not going to do anything with the responses. The person can respond here, and we're not doing anything with the submission for this assignment. Okay, this is task for another for the future. All right, guys, that's it for my example. Please make sure you style it a little more. I don't have numbers, for example, for my questions. Maybe you can add numbers to that. You can add some extra style, maybe to the font. Maybe you want all the labels, for example. Let's see. Maybe all my labels should be font weight, font weight bold, for example. Maybe you want that. Maybe you want uh, your font to be italic, um, your for the labels. I don't know. You can play along. Make sure you are comfortable with the look and feel um, of your form. All right. Thank you so much. If you have questions, please comment in the post, the announcement, where I'm going to attach this recording. Have a great night. I'll see you next week. Bye bye, everybody.